children who are being sold into slavery. Well, we're talking about 700 cedis, which is the cost of an average smartphone. And that's how much some parents are selling their children for. You may want to call them young victims of slavery, but children on fishing boats, either scooping water out or diving to untangle nets. Some of them die under the water and are abandoned to become feed for fish. Well, this is no movie. It's a true story right here in Ghana on the Volta Lake, where about 10,000 children are said to be working as slaves sold by their own parents for a pittance. That's the focus of this week's Joy News Hotline documentary titled Slaves of the Volta. Shortly, we'll be speaking to representatives of the NGO, International Justice Mission, who are helping to rescue some of the children. They've done some research into this problem and will bring us insight into the practice of slave trade in some fishing communities here in Ghana. But first, here are excerpts of the documentary by Kwete Nate, which we'll be showing later on today.
At that time, I was young, so I don't have any right to say anything. Whether if you are sick, unless they see that, oh, you are sick. But if you are telling them that you are sick, they will just tell you are lying. They will force you to go. And meanwhile, you don't have option. You have to go. And the one thing is, living here at that time, to wake up in at 11:30 p.m. to go paddle up to 6 o'clock. Sometimes we used to blow, but you have to force them go.
What brought you here? Who gave you a way to come and work over here?
Oh, before I would come here, it was my father who brought me here. And then I came to stay with my brother. And then during that time, I was schooling, but I couldn't go to school. So he said he would bring me here so that if I grow small, he will come and pick me in school. So,
How much was given to your father before he made you come over here?
Oh, no. They didn't give him anything. They didn't give him anything. But because he's my brother and also working, and he don't have anybody to help him, he brought me to come and help him. I didn't take anything. Yeah.
What finally changed your mind and you were like, no, I have to leave this job and go back to school?
You see, as I'm growing, I began to notice things. So one day my father came to this town, and then he told me that one of my brother is called James. He also had a front priest. At that time too, they were also fishing. And then he told me that James is coming to school. And I said no. Yeah. And I said no. If James is coming to school here at our time, then me too, what am I sitting here waiting for? Because it's like we are like twin brothers. So if I didn't see him, I'm not happy. So before they say he's coming to his schooling, and I said no, I have to go. And then I told my father that if James is schooling, then me too have to go to school. So he said, if I said I want to go to school, he would take me back. So during Humowo Festival, and then he asked my brother to bring me back to come and start school. And then I told my father that if James is schooling, then me too have to go to school. So he said, if I said I want to go to school, he would take me back. So during Humowo Festival, then he asked my brother to bring me back to come and start school.
How old were you then?
Before I started the school.
Yeah.
For that, it will be like 16 years to 17 years.
Well, the full version of that documentary is airing on Joy News, right on this channel tonight at 6:30 p.m. and on Thursday on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. With us in the studio, by the way, is Amma Norman, Amma Jifa Norman. She's senior attorney at the NGO International Justice Mission, and our own Jahunyan will also join us and tell us about the screening of that documentary. But let me welcome you, Amma Jifa Norman. Your name is quite interesting, isn't it? It's a mixture of Ashanti and Volta. Quite interesting. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Let me use this opportunity to say good afternoon to your viewers.
All right. So let's look at the story. We just put some of the visuals that Kwete Nate has put together, and it's quite scary. But for some of us who have been covering children-related stories, it's pretty normal. Normal because it appears that we've not been able to deal with it and deal with it correctly, deal with it comprehensively. What new is going to happen about this particular story from your perspective?
Well, thank you. IJM's view about this particular menace in Ghana is that it is very vast and it's brutal, but it is solvable, just as you have said. So it's something that can be solved pretty quickly. I think the problem here is that it's a crime of opportunity. So those who do it with impunity. They get away with it. So we believe that if there is enforcement of the law which prohibits the use of children in the manner in which we are seeing, perhaps that is going to be a deterrent for those who commit this offense, and it can cause it to...
I see. So what did you find in your research?
So in our research, we found out, we did our research, we conducted it on the southern half of the lake. And we found in our research that about 57% of the children that we encountered were in forced labor. So they have been trafficked onto the lake purposely to be used for forced labor. And then out of those 57%, it's quite interesting to know that half of them are below the age of 10, and about 25% of them are below the age of 6. So it's frightening and it's very worrying.
Obviously frightening, but at what point do you strike the balance between forced labor and helping your parents? I mean, when I was growing up, I saw my grandmother bring people, from the village, and she didn't force them to come. Their parents will just ask you to, and she wasn't paying anything. She would just ask you to, because they want them to have an exposure, like bring them to the city so they can have exposure. At what point do you find that gap between forced labor and just having children stay with other people, or just having children work to support their families?
Okay, it's very interesting that you talk about children working to support their family.
Yeah, not like working per se, but like helping with chores, etc.
Well, there is child labor, which is acceptable to a certain degree, and it is when you assist your parents or your guardians with chores in the house, but they still see to your general development and your educational needs. But these children we are talking about are not those who are in school. They are not in school at all.
Right.
Their full-time work is to work on the lake, and they have been trafficked to the lake purposely for that, job. And that is what is wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's going to happen from from IJM? What's going to happen now? I mean, we know the story. We've seen the people. We've spoken to them. You can't also. One of the difficult things is that you can't also arrest their parents, even though what they've done is unlawful. You can't arrest them, can you? Because if once you do that, the very results that you're looking for, that these people will be in a proper family, you're breaking that fiber. So how do you work it out?
So from IJM's perspective, we are working with the government. In fact, we've had good cooperation with the government. We've recently carried out some rescues of some of these children who are responding very well at the moment. We feel that we can do this by enforcing the law that is already there.
Okay.
There is the Children's Act 1998, and then there is the Human Trafficking Act 2005. Which basically talks about these kind of offences and how they are forbidden in our society, but people carry on and do it. So we think that this can be stopped. But then it's quite interesting when you say striking the balance. The parent, if you ask me from my point of view, I'm an attorney. If you've done something wrong, you should be prosecuted for it. But then obviously social workers and people who deal with these kind of situations in our community feel that there are ways of looking at what caused the problem, so the root cause of it, and then trying to look at practical ways of dealing with this. Of course, if a parent is culpable in a situation where they've done it over and over again, then you cannot just look at them to go scot-free.
Okay.
But then each circumstance will be looked at,
Okay.
and then a decision will be taken.
So those whose story those whose stories have come before you, and those who who have been sold out, etc. What are you going to? Practically, what are you going to do from now? Are you going to initiate the necessary processes that will get them prosecuted, or what's going to happen?
So IGM doesn't have powers of prosecution. It is the Attorney General's Department that does.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Are you going to initiate the processes?
We at the moment are acting as complainants for these children, hoping that state authorities will do something about it. And I think once they have been rescued, what we hope for is that perpetrators will be held accountable for the offenses that they have committed, whether it is a middleman, a trafficker themselves, the parents, depending on the circumstances and how it is found. And law enforcement is the main thing for us. Because we believe that it is something that has been missing for quite some time now, because there are other ways that have been introduced to combat this particular situation, but it has been effective to a certain degree, but not as effective as it's supposed to be. But law enforcement primarily is for deterring people from doing things like that. So we believe that that is the piece that we need to kind of push to see a change.
And what about the children? What's going to happen to them? Are you rescuing them, as in rescuing them for the ministry? So you're going to hand them over to the ministry, or is there some kind of home accommodation for them? What's going to happen with the children involved?
So we work hand in hand with the ministry. So they are our partners. So we are pretty much like the ministry, and the ministry is like us. The children that are rescued are taken to a shelter. The program we have is for these children first to be given some form of treatment program to see what's best for them. Should they go to start formal school? Should they go to vocational training? Whilst we are also looking at reintegrating them back into society, whether they should go back home. And that is done through a thorough assessment process that social welfare does. If home is found to be the best, the child goes back home to their parents. If it is not the best place, then obviously we look at long-term shelter.
So it's still at a very foundation process, foundation level, if you ask me, as in what can be done for these children is still something that's yet to be determined. Is that correct?
I would say it's pretty much determined by its resources, so more resources to be pumped into it. But we all kind of know what's best for a child that is rescued from a situation like that. If they are not in school, put them into school and let them start going to school.
And are you resourced? I mean, the IJM, is it resourced to do this, or are you going to seek funding from the ministry?
No, well, considering this is our main mission in Ghana, we came prepared to assist the government to do this successfully.
Okay. Well, we wish you all the best. And I mean, the documentary will be playing that documentary, and I believe that will be engaging you much more, taking the story forward, because we don't just, you know, play it and end it there. So we'll be showing that documentary at 6:30 later today. You really want to make a date and get to know the real details of what these children go through. I've been here with Amma Jifa Norman. She's senior attorney with the International Justice Mission. They are on a mission to rescue all of these children who have been sold into, slavery, if you like. Well, thank you very much for passing through.
Thank you for having me.
And we definitely wish them all the best. Well, let's move on with some other stories now. Government has begun engagement with the Chinese authorities who seek to control the menace of illegal mining, popularly referred to as galamsey. Now, the involvement of these Chinese nationals in the area of illegal mining pushed the situation out of control. That practice has led to widespread pollution of Ghana's water bodies, pushing the country to the brink of a water crisis. Well, today, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, John Peter Amewu, has begun some engagement with the Chinese authorities to try and curb that practice. As a first step in the process, Ghana intends to track the over $2.3 billion worth of gold exported to China last year.
In an attempt to do this, we realized that this quantum, of money, $2.3 billion, worth of gold was shipped out of this country. How that is done, we are still investigating. And I think at the appropriate time we'll come out with our report. I have informed the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance has put together a team involving the forensic unit of the police, the Yoko divisions, and some members of my outfit to see how we can, find out what actually have gone wrong and what were the causes of such a huge amount of money. Yeah.
You made mention of metal skill mining. How different is this going to be? Because already from what we are seeing, it's been destroyed already. How are we going to... The environment
is being destroyed. You see, comparatively, we will agree that the large scale miners, though they are also destroying the environment, not on a vast scale as what we are witnessing. The mid-tier, what it seems to do is that it will be properly regulated. The sizes of the acreages are going to increase in numbers, and so that there will be some element of regulation, proper regulation. If you are coming for a mid-tier regime, it's just going to be the same as the large-scale regime. And so the small scale, we're going to take out the use of the heavy earth-moving equipment that we are seeing currently. The excavators, the D6, the D8, we'll take that one out from the small scale. You recollect that, when we were very young, small scale mining actually was a small scale. When our fathers go in and they do the digging within, just to go and look for something small on a small scale within the household. That is the purpose. But the introduction of the earth-moving equipment has taken that benefit out. And so what we want to do now is to regulate properly that area by introducing the mid-tier, where Ghanaians can, of course, partner with the foreigners. By doing that, they were going to conform strictly to the rules and then the regulation. The president has put together 5 ministerial team, involving myself, my ministry, water and sanitations, environment, local government, regional reorganizations, to come out and see how we can, number one, address what we are doing, and number two, to come out with a reclamation strategy. We have made some budget about the reclamation. There are certain individuals that are also prepared to support. So yes, the water courses have been destroyed, the forests have been destroyed. We can't leave it, on its own. So we need to come and reclaim some of these areas, especially the water bodies, to see how we can, get back. It's we're not saying that within the next 2 weeks you go and see a clean water, but the belief is that if you're able to stop them for a prolonged period of time, and this stoppage it should be sustainable over the period, we have seen the combat nature that happened. It was not sustainable, and that is why we are back to square one. So this is going to be a sustainable effort to make sure within the period of 5 years, as I've stated in the MMIP, the Multilateral Mining Integration Project, we should be able to, address some of this thing. And for me, I'm extremely happy because of what my good friend, the Deputy Ambassador and the Acting Ambassador to the Chinese government has done. In our discussion, it came clear that there was a community in China that is involved in this. And so we agree that if it's proper for them to invite, the mayor of that community, because it's like the same people, they will be able to understand the same language. And that is why here, what they're going to do is to migrate or move to the various sites and begin to talk to their people. They agree that, yes, of course, it's important to do business in Ghana, but you must do business in a more environmental friendly manner. So this is part of the attempt by His Excellency the President to make sure that we address this problem.
John Peter Meu there. Well, the Chinese mission here in Ghana say they hope to help government in that fight.
Also, we come here to transfer some information to our Shaolin population about the China's policy and the Ghana's policy about mining. And also, we come here to discuss with our Shaolin population, let them to respect the Ghana's law and some related regulations, and also advise them to make some other business here, not only mining. So I'm very appreciative for the minister to give us this opportunity. We have a meeting here to discuss how to solve these problems. And also, I hope by this meeting, by this meeting, the minister can give us some latest information or policies about Ghana government to treat deal with the mining business. So I hope our Shaolin members here to make cooperation with local Ghananese to operation legally.
Well, those are the Chinese delegation there. Well, in the studio with me is Tony Obing, who is Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission. Dr. Tony Obing, who's in the studio with me. You're welcome, Doc. Thank you very much for your time. Pleasure. Okay, well now let's have a look at the bigger picture, if we can. This is a problem that we've been dealing with. Now, I remember in 2013, myself and a friend of mine did a story, a Galamsey documentary, where we showed a wide range of space, if you like, covering water covering a large range of space that has been destroyed, if you like. A lot of people are saying that there has to be a temporal ban, at least, so that the water can, the water bodies can be regenerated. Is that a sustainable way of dealing with this problem, for a start?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. We, as a country, I think we have allowed this issue of illegal mining to fester and grow to this level where now our water bodies are really seriously being negatively impacted. Now, it is a suggestion that is worth looking at, a temporary ban. Okay. It's worth looking at. You have to consider all other things, including the legal basis for that, and whether those who already have their licenses would also take it kindly, and whether we should not deal with those who are doing illegal mining. Because the problem we have had in the past is that we are not dealing with this issue as illegality. We are not dealing with this issue as criminality. We think it should be regulated. I think we have all the regulations. We have all the good laws where people from other places come to copy. We have not been able to enforce our laws. So that's really the problem. The problem is enforcing the laws.
Yeah, at least the problems are known. And a lot of people have said that, look, there are big politicians, big chiefs, big traditional leaders involved in this, which is why we are unable to deal with it and deal with it comprehensively. So then let's ban it. Now, if we ban it, whether or not you are a politician, whether you are a traditional leader, you're going to have to comply because that is the law. It's been banned. So then nobody is doing it at all. that is the reason why people who are forwarding this argument say, look, this is something that we must do and do so immediately.
No, as I said, I would sort of entertain this type of suggestion, but I will look at the practicality of it. But I mean, it in itself, it's not a bad idea, especially when we are desperately looking for a solution around it. So it's not a bad idea at all. The other, sorry, sorry. The other issue is whether there are other alternatives to just outright banning or temporary suspension. I mean, it is not to say that that is not something you want to look at. It's important. In terms of the people, the kind of the profile of people who participate in illegal mining, you are absolutely right that the kind of people there you will not believe. You will find big people, big politicians, big religious people, people praying for others to go and do galamsey and make money and all that. But the most exciting thing for now is the mobilization of public opinion. I can see there is huge public opinion now against illegal mining. You know, that's so important that the public is now mobilized against illegal mining. There were times when I have been in the system for quite some time, so I understand. When we spoke about illegal mining, people would easily come and say, oh, but these are being done by poor people, they are aching out a living. I have seen some NGOs and even sometimes the media also jumping quickly into the side of the illegal miners. But now things have come to a head because of its serious devastating impact that we see. Now we, in the next, between now and maybe 5 years, if we are not careful, we will have to import water to drink. And so seriously, now the public's opinion is in favor of an action to stop illegality. And I think, you know, when your hand is cut, it's the safety people will tell you you should stop the bleeding. When you have an accident and the hand is cut, the first thing you do is to stop the bleeding. So probably we should stop those who are doing the illegal mining. We should see illegal mining not as a regulatory thing.
I think the problem has been how to stop them. Because if you heard the minister speak, the minister said that, look, the combative nature that government, or the combative posture that government has taken in the past to try to deal with this has not worked.
No, yes, the minister is absolutely right. You cannot use that combative approach alone. You must combine it with others. And I think that's what the minister said, that you cannot just use the military alone, but it is also the enforcement. The law says don't do illegal mining. The law says foreigners must not be involved in small-scale mining. So the only way you can do it is to use the force. But using the force, after that, what next? So that's the question my minister has been asking.
I see. I'll come back to you, sir, but let's get an update on the arrest of some of these illegal Chinese miners in the Western region. They were in court today. Francis Waja is with our sister station Radio Max, and he's been following them. Hello, Francis.
Yeah, hi, Dixie.
Francis, tell us what happened in court today.
Okay, so earlier today, they were sent to the secondary district court, and then the court, according to the two lawyers, they didn't have jurisdiction to hear the case, so they had to move to the circuit court. Unfortunately, the circuit court also didn't sit, so finally the matter ended up at the secondary high court won. Well, upon several deliberations in court, both the defense counsel argued that he will want the 5 people, including the 5 Chinese nationals, to be granted bail, because for him, once the five people are Ghanaian citizens and then the 5 Chinese are also residents in Ghana, if they granted them bail, they will not interfere with the process. But the state attorney also argued otherwise, that he felt that it was prudent for them to be kept in police custody till they reappeared again. Well, the substance of the matter itself they didn't go into the substance itself as to whether they were even guilty of the act or not. But then they've been remanded into police custody to reappear on the 10th of April.
10th of April. I see.
Yes.
But I mean, there's this huge machine. I don't know how to describe it. That was where they used to work, or where they were doing the galamsey from. What's happened to that machine, first of all, and how did they get it there in the first place? Do we know?
Well, they were apprehended on Friday, and it was a tip-off the Western Regional Police Command had, and so they moved in, and this was somewhere on the northern part of the river Ankobra. Now, for those who travel along the Western Line, when you get to the Ankobra Bridge, probably you just see about 100-meter stretch of the river. But then at the far end of the Ankobra River was where they had mounted this huge machine which they were using to mine on the river. Now, all these machines have been intercepted by the Western Regional Police Command, and I'm sure after the investigations, we shall get to know what comes out of it. But let me quickly add this to that. The concern of the public here in the Western region is very huge. I mean, I was surprised today to see the people who were following this case. But what some of them are saying is that this is a rare case study of some sort, because for them, the outcome of this will serve as an impetus to those who are already into it, who will say, listen, nothing will come out of this, so we'll be given an extra edge. Or it will serve as a deterrent for those who are yet to come into it. So people are actually monitoring this case closely, and they want to see what comes out of it.
I see. But those in the community, they should have known about this. Don't they know? Don't they know about, I mean, how the machine got there onto the water body? They know, don't they?
Well, Dipsy, when I spoke to some of them, fact of the matter is that some of them knew, while others did not, because these 5 Ghanaian individuals who were supporting the Chinese to carry out these activities came from the community. So some had a fair knowledge that, yes, this was going on. Others also did not. But for those who had a fair knowledge that was going on, they were handicapped, if I should say. There was nothing they could do about it. Probably they had complained over the period, and then nothing had come out of it. So they are just throwing their arms in the air in despair until finally help came on Friday.
I see. Thank you very much. Francis Waja is with our sister station, Max Radio in Takoradi, helping us. Let me take your comment on this. I've seen that. I believe you've seen the picture of that machine. I mean, it looks like a ship, sort of. Yeah. How did they get it there without anybody knowing? Is that possible? People know.
That's not possible. People know. And that's the complicity of all of us in this type of business, this illegal business. I am sure people who needed to enforce the law saw that. I am sure it is in the jurisdiction of a certain traditional leader. I am sure the community people around there saw that. I'm sure there were some youth group who saw that. But you see, they also, some of them, and wherever you go in these areas, you have a group that strongly support it because they benefit from that, and those who don't. But those who don't are often quiet. Sometimes in fear of their own lives if they made some noise. I know some chiefs who are strongly against illegal mining. Some have actually risked their lives. I know some who tried to stop them, and then some of their elders and a few community people came to him and said, hey, why are you stopping us from getting jobs? So it's always divided. But the point is that what is illegal is illegal. And we must see it as such. You know, we shouldn't skirt around it. If it is illegal, it's illegal mining. It is illegal mining.
Now, we understand from today that we lost about $2.3 billion worth of gold through illegal mining, and that the ministry now is investigating how, you know, we lost that amount of money by tracking gold exports. How easy is that process? How easy is it to track exports that have already happened? And is the ministry going to be successful in this?
Well, this is government trying to do this, and you're talking about high-level investigations, and you know, Ghana has a lot of cooperation arrangement with some other countries, so it is possible that we can succeed. And again, when you export gold, the receiving country or the recipient country should know where this gold is coming from. So that is possibly one area that you can, you know, if it was in India, then India will record it as gold coming from Ghana. If it was in, you know, Russia or something, they should record it as gold coming from Ghana. So on that basis, yes. Now, there are those who, it's possible, could use other alternative route. In fact, we are currently investigating a similar situation where we suspect actually that gold goes to a nearby country and comes back and it's shipped out from Ghana. You know,
how does that
yeah,
work?
I'm sure they are trying to avoid the payment of some fees or taxes. So,
so it moves from Ghana?
Ghana, by means that I don't know, but gets to a country that doesn't produce gold at all.
I mean, what are the means through which we move gold out of
you
Ghana?
see, the problem with gold is that you can put it in your pocket and sit in a car
and drive.
Notice. Nobody will know that. Or put it in a bag and, and it is not illegal. Some time ago, until 1989 or so, it was illegal for an individual to be found with raw gold.
Okay.
Now I can have gold, put that in my pocket, and that's not. Sometimes the curse of freedom. You have the freedom, and the freedom seems to be cursing you, which shouldn't happen. So that is possible. You can put gold in a small bag, go to, unlike bauxite, where you have to have in big things, So you go to another country, and then you bring it back as if you are importing for reshipment or for re-export. We are seeing this. We cannot establish the illegality around it, but there's some investigations going on to try and establish.
So the gold moves from Ghana to, let's say, Togo, and then from Togo it comes back to Ghana.
Yes, possible.
And then
it's shipped out, because Ghana, is like re-export sort of.
So then you cannot say that it originated from Ghana. You say that it originated from, say, Togo.
Yeah, but when it comes, it will be shipped out as gold from Ghana.
Interesting.
Yes, it will come here. We have imported it.
Yes.
And then maybe the person has some gold that is shipping. He will add it as gold that is shipping from Ghana, and so it goes to, let's say, Dubai as gold from Ghana.
From Ghana.
I
see.
So
that investigation is ongoing.
Is ongoing.
And then what? After the investigation, we're looking at 2.3 billion. We want to look at how it is exported, or we want to track the exports, etc. And then this one that you're talking about, that you're tracking, you're looking to track those that are going out of Ghana and coming back in to be shipped elsewhere. And then what? After all the investigation?
First of all, the law would have to apply. If you are found culpable, you are found guilty of smuggling in that sense, I hope the law will work, because sometimes our laws are so, they are very good, but we found ways of going around them. And then it will also deter others from doing the same. So I believe that government is doing this to ensure that those who have done that are appropriately sanctioned. And then also it will be indicative to people that we are not going to sit down for these things to continue, these leakages, unnecessary leakages to continue.
I see. You've been doing this for a very long time. Are you hopeful? Over the weekend, Kuku Bako, for instance, was one of the people who was very bitter, very angry, and says that these issues like Galamsey and how it's destroyed our water bodies, make him want to give up on Ghana. Are you hopeful? You've been in this industry for a very long time, that we can actually deal with this as a country and deal with it for real?
Yes, all we have is hope. We must hope. We must be hopeful. And the basis of my positive attitude is this, that now majority of Ghanaians are against that. I've told you, when I was in a different job and we used to complain about illegal mining and all that, immediately you spoke about illegal mining, you would have people jumping in their defense easily. Okay. And then they would say, oh, you mean the big mines, they cause more harm. Okay. And I say, look, the big mines do cause more harm, but they are controllable. You know what they're doing. You can sanction them. But the fly-by-night operators of illegality, you cannot control. So I am happy that now we have even some NGOs who were in the past very charitable to small scale.
Yes.
The players of illegal mining. They now see that our water bodies are what they are now. So that gives me some hope, and then also see some political will. The president has been saying this almost everywhere he goes. Everywhere he goes, he talks about illegal mining and the environment. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, my minister, has also been talking about it. Every morning when he calls you, it is about illegal mining and how it will be stopped. And he's very passionate about it. That gives you some comfort. It's not like people talking about it. They want, this one, he made a statement, I won't make it here. And that showed how passionate.
You make it here.
I should make it here and I'll be hot.
You won't be hot.
No, he made, I think the statement was about how, he said, look, these people are killing us. Those who are doing that in the rivers, and they are killing us, because if we drink this thing, the person is sitting somewhere and we are drinking it. Or somebody eating fish from any of the rivers that might have, the silver.
Contaminated.
Yes. So they are killing us. So if somebody is killing you, I'm sure you want to stop him from killing you.
You want to kill them.
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. But seriously, we must collectively stop this. And I'm happy that now there's a collective, because in the past it was lone voice. You talk and it's like you have interest.
You're making noise.
Yes.
Well, it's unfortunate because it appears that silence is what has led us to where we are now, looking at or envisaging a water crisis. But hopefully we'll be able to deal with it. Thank you very much, sir, for coming through. Dr. Tony Obing is CEO of the Minerals Commission, and we've been looking at the bigger issue of Galamsey, a very disturbing story, actually. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty Andopia. I'm going to take a very quick break. I'll be right back. Please stay with us.